Entering the hotel, their gazes fell upon a man, comfortably propped, flipping thoughtfully through a book, smiling occasionally. He started as they came within earshot, and a grin peeled across his face.
You know, when someone called and made a reservation for the second time in a month, I had thought it had to be a prank. And yet, here you are! Unless you're not the rooms reserved by a Mr. Marcus Rookard?
The lights flickered as the man spoke Marcus' name.
I'm sorry to say, the wiring in this old place has a problem or two. Something to do with the fact that I can count on one hand the number of guests we've had in the last 10 years. I mean, until earlier this month, that is.
Well, that seems like a poor business model.
Are you filming me?
Sorta. I'm streaming. Should I stop?
Not at all. And to be honest, it's not. The business model, I mean. Were it not for the hotel's very complicated history, I imagine the taxes alone would put it under. However, due to one twist of fate or another, the place persists, a mere shadow of what it once was, but still, it persists.
Very poetic. Are the rooms dusty?
Most of them are, yeah, but I cleaned the entire floor we currently have open. Back to my earlier question, is either of you Marcus?
We're with his party, yes.
2 rooms. He indicated single beds, but I just roomed you in kings. Not like we lack for space. That should easily fit a couple. I assume either you two or...
I need my own bed. I don't really know about her, and there are actually 4.
Well, there are more rooms if you'd like. They come at a cutthroat rate this time of the off-season.
I'll pay for my own room then.
3 rooms it is. Come with me, please.
The man led their way through the hotel.
This place looks like a movie set.
As long as you're not thinking of The Shining, you might be right. You'd be impressed at the number of films you've never heard of that were filmed here once upon a time. Not that I really know any of them either. I just know the history. Part of living in a town like this one, I suppose.
Like this one.
A ghost town. I mean that in every sense, too. During the spiritualist boom of back before my grandfather was a baby, this town was popping with such types. And from there, it's just slowly died. Businesses growing and wilting, families going to where they can find opportunity, leaving behind shells of civilizations.
You do like to wax poetic.
Oh, yeah, I'd have been out of here myself if I hadn't decided poetry was a good use of my college education. Not that I've minded terribly. We actually have enough people that we were able to create municipal fiber. Wi-Fi's connected to it. Name is vacancies, and password is too spooky for me. Anyway, here are your rooms, 412 through 414.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I noticed we skipped 411. Is someone in there?
Ah, yes, the other patron whom I mentioned arrived earlier this month. Not gonna lie, haven't seen him come or go once, but he set us up to auto-charge his card daily, and he hasn't checked out. I don't think he's been sleeping here, but his things are inside. I'm sorry, I really probably shouldn't be talking about all this.
Actually, he's why we're here. Tyrone, right?
The hotelier cocked an eyebrow.
He was here for business, and we haven't been able to reach him for weeks.
For business? Why do you have to say it like that? Are you drug dealers?
What? No!
Well, what kind of business are you talking about?
Ghost hunting?
Jill inclined her head to her camera. The hotelier's grin peeled across his face like a whip.
Okay, look. This is gonna be super unprofessional, but despite how bad the economy of this place is, I love living here. You wanna know why?
The hotelier gestured around.
The lore, the history. This hotel alone makes St. Hart Hospital look like a middle school haunted hayride.
Oh! Yeah?
So, you know how I thought Marcus Rookard was a prank? That is because of the history of the Rookard family here.
You don't say.
Long story short, the entire clan killed themselves so that they could rid the town of its ghosts. Only, as such stories go, they only made the problem infinitely worse. I have to apologize, that telling really doesn't do the story justice. But it's late, and not to be rude, but your friend looks like she needs some sleep. I'll tell you the rest if you'd like over the continental breakfast, which is actually where I just grab some fruit and bring my waffle iron from home. See you in the morning.
Thank you.
Thanks for all the information. I look forward to getting more.
The hotelier excused himself, and Jill put down her phone.
You should sleep in the same room as me.
What?
I need to be able to reach you quickly if the null catches up to us.
Then why did you let me waste money on an extra room?
No, that was smart. I should have thought of it. We don't want to give him the impression that something is off about us.
Other than the fact that we're ghost hunters who keep the company of ghosts?
Yep.
Okay, fine. I'm sleeping in lucky number 13. You're welcome to watch?
That was my plan.
You're lucky I'm used to it after 3 months with Owen. Before that, though... Okay, ghouls and gals, I'm signing out for now. But if your ghostly powers should be capable, wake me up if an ancient evil comes for me or something. Jill Count, signing out.
Jill tucked her phone away.
Who are you talking to?
I have no idea. Ghosts watching my stream, apparently. Lots of them. Some with bank accounts, too, if the fact that I'm still getting paid says anything.
I've never heard of something like that.
Look at me, shocking the 18-million-year-old ghost. That's nice, I'm going to bed. I don't like cars, and I've been driving since 6 a.m.
Jill marched into the room, locked the door, and fell flat on the bed, asleep before she landed.
I'm still outside. Just because I can walk through doors doesn't mean I want to. Rude.
It was morning by the time Marcus finally arrived, though there was no sign of the sun yet.
Oh, thank God.
Good hustle, brah.
I hate you.
That's just the bad vibes burning away. Oh, we should do this tomorrow.
I will kill you. Again. Oh, God dang it! The door is locked! If the girls got here safely, they could let us in.
I'll go find Jill.
Good call.
Owen winked out of sight with a soft pop.
Wait, could he have done that earlier? He could have made them pick us up. I hate him so much.
Light the brazier. Preparations are made.
The flickering light of fire cast wild shadows over the room.
Invocavi for spiritum, vid inter me. Cavi for spiritum, vid inter me. Cavi for spiritum, vid inter me. Cavi for
The words echoed oddly, as though the chamber were far less cluttered and small than it appeared.
Invocavi for spiritum, vid inter me. For spiritum, vid inter me. For spiritum, vid inter me.
This time, the echo was violent and distorted, coming back with force.
Invocavi for spiritum, vid inter me.
The earth began to shake, and even the air seemed to move, listless with worry.
Invocavi for spiritum, vid inter me.
Silence and darkness, and then a voice she would never forget.
Why have you awoken me, bound one?
I'm here to wake you up, brah. Wake up, wake up.
Jill startled awake, Owen's eyes meeting her own.
Good morning, brah.
Owen, what did I tell you about waking me up?
Yeah, I know, but Marcus is outside and he's just run a few kilometers short of a marathon, so I thought you'd want to let him in.
Marcus!
All at once, reality caught up to her and she threw herself up.
Marcus is alive! And you are too! Kinda.
I'll go let him in.
I forgot you were there.
Ripley didn't reply as she vanished into the shadows of her own hair.
That feels weird, even for a ghost.
Bro, why is she allowed to watch you sleep all creepy from the corner, but I'm not? It's because I'm a boy, isn't it? That's called sexism, brah, and that's not cool.
Jill threw the blanket over Owen, passing through him to little effect.
Rude.
What time is it anyway?
Real early. It's still dark out.
I'm gonna regret getting up right now.
Early to rise and all that, brah.
Rising before the sun sure doesn't feel healthy.
Well, we're pretty far north. If you waited for the sun, you'd miss most of the day.
Yeah.
Jill pulled on her jacket as she got out of bed.
Let's go check on Marcus.
The chill burned her face as she left the room. She hadn't noticed it as badly last night, not with everything coupled with her exhaustion, but the difference between the heated room and the spacious foyer was like heaven and hell.
Only perhaps reversed.
What was that?
Just thinking out loud.
Jill's breath fogged, and she froze mid-step.
It's so cold in here, it looks like I'm smoking. Look, I'm like a pothead.
Owen, you're dead.
Oh yeah, I guess it's just a haunting then. Spooky.
Jill stood still as she looked around, the air thickening with a misting cold. Jill's hand fell to her pocket, her phone was faintly warm. The moment of hesitation was gone as she pulled out her phone and launched the streaming app.
Good morning, gals and ghouls. We're here today with a very special broadcast. Our first real haunting since St. Hart. And I suppose most, if not all of you, and Owen.
Hi guys.
I mean, there were a couple of maybes here and there, and that thing I heard in the bathroom that one time you told me to avoid. So don't be weirded out or anything by me panning around and examining the room around me. Just looking for anything I can't see with my good old ghost sight. My 3-month-old ghost sight.
It looks super clear to me, brah.
Exactly. This fog or mist or whatever, it's ghost fog or something. I'm not exactly an expert on this.
Wow, do you think we'll see a ghost? I've always wanted to see a ghost.
Owen!
Yeah?
You are a ghost.
Oh.
Owen went silent, his eyes distant, contemplative. Jill hoped she hadn't snapped him out of whatever daze let him persist. She needed the company right now. As quickly as the mist had come, it began to fade, accompanied by voices only recently familiar.
So I was right. You could have poofed to her at any time.
Frankly, I'm more surprised he wasn't dragged behind the car. He may be a bit more impressive if he can...
Her words cut abruptly as she saw Jill and Owen walking towards them.
You didn't have to get up.
I wanted to see if Marcus was okay and ask what happened.
Oh, it's easy. I have no idea. When I found Owen, he was fine. Couldn't Owen have told you this?
Owen forgets that he's dead sometimes. I don't trust him to not leave anything out.
I forget to add sugar to the cookies one time, and all of a sudden I can't remember anything.
Like that. That's never happened with me.
It's not uncommon for low-power specters to mimic their former selves while being little above an animal in sentience. Though that would only raise more questions about how he managed to stay behind.
I'm super glad that Owen is a mystery and all, but could I ask if you guys saw this spoopy-doopy ghost mist?
Ghost mist?
Can't say that I have, though I suppose it does feel a little colder than normal. That's a sign of ghosts, right, Ripley?
It's a sign that you're scared. It's normal human biology. Are there ghosts in this town like the bellhop said? Yes. Are they remotely powerful enough to manifest temperature changes? Probably not. If it's not obvious yet, I already have a solid theory as to the story behind Tyrone's vanishing act.
Oh? Well, do tell.
Small town, very poor. No real major businesses. It's a recipe for crime. Tyrone comes in here, bankrolling his trip with the money he makes. Probably did this excursion at a loss. Someone sees a guy with that kind of money and targets him. Maybe it's a simple mugging gone wrong. Maybe a kidnapping with no idea who to contact with the paranoid way Tyrone does these jobs. Point is, once Marcus has had a chance to rest, we should head to the police station and ask about any John Does.
Ripley left towards their rooms as the group stared after, agape.
No way. No way he is gone for 4 years and comes back fine, only to disappear in North Dakota.
Marcus said the words, but even Jill could tell he was uneasy with how simply the theory fit the narrative. Jill watched as Marcus followed after Ripley, following her into their room.
Owen, would you mind watching me while I sleep and waking me up if something happens?
Thought I wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, normally you're not, but just for tonight, I kinda like the company.
Are you gonna get mad if I hum Weezer?
No, it's fine.
Jill looked to her phone, panning in a circle as she spoke.
Well, that's enough excitement for this morning. Going to sleep a bit more. I'll see you in the...
Jill nearly dropped the phone as she whirled to see what she had thought she had seen in it. A girl, young, in her teens, and at the same time oh so clearly dead. The hallway behind her was empty. She knew to trust her ghost sight for such things, and the camera to see the real world around her. But there was no mist, no girl, nothing.
Yeah, Owen, sing me Buddy Holly.
Oh no, I am terrible at remembering words, but I can hum a mean tune. Da 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 ba na 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 da na na.
With that, Owen began to hum a melodic, though horrifically incorrect, rendition of something, and Jill made her way back to her room. Jill woke to the smell of waffles.
I'm up.
That was it. Nailed it. Da 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 something Buddy Holly. Blah blah something Mary Tyler Moore.
You can stop now, Owen. It's breakfast.
When Jill stepped out of her room, she was more than a little surprised to find Marcus already ahead of her, walking towards the stairs. He called back as he noticed her exit.
Hey, morning.
How in all heck are you so perky?
Marcus doesn't need much sleep. Marcus is, as I have said before, an anomaly, much like your friend.
Aw, do you consider me your friend, Jill?
Oh my gosh, Owen, yes, for the billionth time.
Aw, that gives me feels, brah.
The three caught up to Marcus despite his eager pace.
I'm going to go and get some breakfast. Something smells good.
He must be making a lot if we're smelling it all the way up here.
What's this guy's name, anyway?
Jill turned to Ripley, though Ripley just kept glaring at Owen.
I didn't ask.
I kind of forgot to ask after everything and how tired I was. Sorry.
Don't worry about it. If I ask, it won't look weird for you two.
The group made their way down the stairs and through the foyer to a lobby from which the smell of food wafted.
Hello there. What's on the menu this morning?
Good morning. Holy shit. You have got to be Marcus Rookard.
Marcus paused and looked back to the girls who looked as confused as him.
The family resemblance is, well, geez, hard to believe to say the least. I'm a novice historian of a sort, and I've seen pictures of who I assume is your grandpa or great-grandpa, and I swear, you look like he walked straight out of the page.
Marcus seemed nonplussed by the comment, but Ripley eyed the man with narrowed eyes.
Before any of you get the wrong idea, I'm exactly the age I look. Unlike some of you freaks of nature, I'm not a gore, I am a mortal.
Marcus then turned back to the hotelier and added,
In a hyperbolic sense.
I assumed that. Though we did have a vampire convention come through here when I was a kid, so I wouldn't immediately dismiss it. On the subject of breakfast, I hope you're all hungry because I drastically misjudged the amount of batter I would need. I've got about 30 waffles made. Oh, and funny thing about the waffle iron. I must have originally got it from here and just kinda didn't notice thanks to inattentional blindness.
The hotelier flipped up a waffle, which had a name scribed into it, Ruckert.
Holy shit, they've literally got my name on them.
That's an awfully big coincidence.
I mean, the hotel used to be called Hotel Ruckert after its owners. I mean, the previous owners. We've got placards to the Ruckerts tucked away in the basement from before the owners tried rebranding the place. Not that it helped. So, how many you want?
I'll take a square 24.
I'm not hungry.
I want 2 waffles, please.
Jill shot Owen a discouraging glance, though whether due to willful or benign ignorance, he didn't notice.
I guess I'll just have the last 4.
The hotelier was quick to serve them all a plate, and Jill tried not to watch Owen's attempts to eat the meal. Fortunately, the hotelier himself was far too enamored by the sight of Marcus to notice the attempts of the ghost to eat.
So I have to ask. Are you here to learn more about your family history? I just find it very odd that you would show up and have no idea where you were.
Believe it, I barely even knew my father before he died, and my mother got pregnant after a one-night stand. I mean, I was lucky, she desperately wanted kids, and I wasn't a teenage pregnancy or anything. But my dad didn't know I existed until I was in my teens, and then I only met him twice. Point is, I'm only named Ruckert because my mom thought it sounded like a strong name and wanted to give me something of my father's. I wouldn't have known about my family history without you expressly telling me. That and the waffles.
To punctuate the end of his story, Marcus dexterously shoveled 3 entire waffles into his face.
That is crazy. I mean, not your story. I mean, honestly, it sounds perfectly plausible. I'm just shocked that you'd end up here on accident.
It certainly stretches coincidental plausibility.
Well, I don't know about you two gentlemen, but I promised your female companions a telling of the Ruckert family history. I imagine you would have equal, if not more, interest than they, Mr. Ruckert.
Marcus shrugged.
I don't like history, brah.
Ignore him. Go ahead.
Well, I'll summarize a fair portion of this town's history by telling you that we became really big during the boom of spiritualism in the 19th century. Somehow spiritualists one after another gathered here and people flocked to see them. Even after the movement lost steam, Misty Morning was already a big city. It didn't need tourism to maintain itself. It had businesses and a thriving economy. That's not to say it didn't wear its history on its sleeve. Though the popularity began to die down, people still came from near and far to meet the mediums and psychics that the town was famous for, well into the early 20th century. That's where the story starts to turn from historical and more towards myth. You see, the large number of spiritualists here, all constantly reaching out to the other side, calling to the dead. It is said that their actions drew an acutely large number of ghosts here. If you would believe the stories, they were as common as bugs or rats in a big city. And the more concentrated here, the more they called out to others of their own kind, until it said that the city began to succumb to the hauntings. Factories had catastrophic failings, businesses had misfortune beyond reason, and within a few short decades, it looked like the town had reached a critical point where its spiritualistic past was about to end any chance it had at a future.
Makes sense.
Jill looked at Ripley incredulously. Makes sense? What makes sense? Did she know something Jill didn't? Darn her. Well, Jill had questions.
I assume that's when the Ruckerts became involved?
Exactly. The Ruckerts were a prominent family in the town at the time. They had investments enough that if the town fell, they would be left paupers. So, it is said, they gathered the remaining spiritualists and all manner of arcane and eldritch texts and began work on something. Unfortunately, it's at this part that everything gets really hazy. They did something, a ritual of some sort. That much is in police records. Around half of the family killed themselves in that ritual. The other half began roaming around town like some Pinkerton union breakers. After that, there's a lot of miscellaneous information I can direct you to, but one thing is clear. The ghost problem was gone.
What? Why? What did they do?
I don't really know. Something about the ritual cut sightings and happenings down to the rates of someplace as mundane as Smallville.
Smallville isn't a real place. Also, what's a Pinkerton?
It's a historical reference. If you understood the Union Breaker part, then you understood enough.
Anyway, the damage was done, unfortunately, and the town has been slowly crumbling for the last century or so. We've got a city half the size of Detroit with the population of Podunk, Mississippi.
Jill started as of all people. Marcus broke his silent eating with a question.
Were there anything different about the sightings after the ritual?
The hotelier's eyebrows rose in shock before his face turned to a knowing smile.
You know your stuff, don't you? Yeah, okay, this is gonna sound super weird, but after the whole Rookard family thing, we started getting sightings of extraterrestrials.
What? Like UFOs?
Nope, not UFOs, but extraterrestrials, ETs, greys, or really whites in our case. Tall, impossibly thin, huge eyes, and white as freshly fallen snow.
Jill cocked her eyebrow in confusion at this. It certainly made very little sense, but when she turned to Ripley, her confusion only grew. The woman's face, normally a dark brown, was pale. Jill didn't know that ghosts could flush.
Now, I haven't ever seen one myself, but the reports are strangely uniform.